Thank you for listening to the Gateway to the Rockies podcast from Visit Aurora from the rafters of the Stanley Marketplace. This is the show dedicated to telling the stories of Aurora, Colorado. Hi there, I'm Dave, Senior Marketing Manager for Visit Aurora. Caroline Glover is one of the most acclaimed chefs in the Rocky Mountain region and in the entire country. She recently won the prestigious 2022 James Beard Foundation Award for Best Chef Mountain, which is essentially like winning the Oscars of food. In 2019, Caroline was named one of the 10 best new chefs in America by Food and Wine magazine. And in 2017, her first restaurant, Annette, which is right here in Aurora at the Stanley Marketplace, was named one of the 50 best new restaurants in the country by Bon Appétit magazine and was the Eater Denver's Restaurant of the Year as well. We recently sat down with Caroline Glover as part of our Made in Aurora video series, which you can find at visitaurora.com and on YouTube. Here's our full conversation from the filming of that video.
My name's Caroline Glover, and I'm the chef owner of Annette.
Can you outline some of Annette's offerings?
So currently, we just do dinner. We're open 6 nights of the week, and we do a small shared plate, try to stay in season as much as possible.
What do you love about being located inside a Stanley Marketplace?
I mean, being inside the Stanley Marketplace has been a really incredible opportunity for us. We have this really great neighborhood all around us, incredible neighbors that we get to borrow things from occasionally. And it's created a space where people can come here and eat dinner. They can go shopping. You know, it's an all-day activity to come to the marketplace.
And what is it that led you to open in Aurora?
Yeah, so we decided to open in Aurora. This is our first restaurant, and it just felt like there was a lot happening here already and a lot of potential for more to happen. And, you know, it being my first restaurant, it was hard to get into some other neighborhoods, to be totally honest. And I felt like Aurora was very, very welcoming to a new person. Opening something new, working with the city was incredible. There's just a lot of reasons that being in Aurora made a lot of sense for us.
Talk about your story. How did you discover your passion for cooking?
I was a to-go girl at Chili's when I was 16 years old, and just being in that environment in a restaurant, I was obsessed with it. There's just all kinds of different people. There's all kinds of things happening all the time. And then I just really got into the cooking part of it and started working in restaurants, I think when I was about 18, in kitchens, and it's a perfect fit for me.
And how are you able to elevate and turn that experience into fine dining?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is when you start working in kitchens, it's just kind of a head down type of thing, and you're just learning and you want to keep up. And then as you grow, I kind of started looking around a bit more and realizing what I was into, what I enjoyed in an experience in a restaurant, and then just kind of coming up with how I wanted to have my own place one day.
I gotta know, who is Annette?
So Annette is my great aunt. She was just a very special person to me and to a lot of my family. I grew up in a very conservative household. She was very liberal. She just kind of had this personality that was, it just took over a room, and she couldn't cook, but she made a mean martini and let me eat the olives, and you know, that's what I was obsessed with.
And how did the concept for Annette come about?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we were planning Annette, it was mostly, I wanted it to be like a dinner party. I wanted people to dine the way they would dine if they were in my dining room at home. And so that was kind of the initial part of it. I wanted it to be about good conversation, good food, good drinks, not just one or the other. And so it was really important to have an intimate space. We have an open kitchen. That's really important to me, so we can see guests dining and, you know, interact. And then it's just making food that reminds me of home.
It's as if the restaurant is like the personification of your great aunt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she was such a strong-willed person and embodied hospitality. It made sense to name the place after her.
What does scratch the table mean to you?
Yeah, so when we were coming up with what we were doing, it was really important that we kind of differentiated ourselves a bit. And I think a lot of people say farm to table, and I think that that's such a beautiful thing, but it's a really hard thing to do, and it's a word that kind of gets thrown out a lot. So while we try to source as much as we can locally, scratch to table made more sense, just meaning we make a lot of things in-house. And I think that comes through our food. You know, people are like, oh, I've had this before, but why does this taste different? And it's like, because we really take the time to make almost everything in-house.
What are some of your offerings?
Yeah, so we're a wood-fired kitchen. So a lot of our dishes come off the grill, which is fueled by oak. You kind of see it all throughout the space. And we do a lot of, we do some larger proteins, but we do really beautiful vegetables. That's usually my favorite thing here. And as we're entering fall, this is like the best time because you have summer and fall, all the different types of produce that's available. But I think, we have things that people come back for all the time, and then we really try to put something new on every season.
Is there a dish that you just absolutely love?
I think it's what we do with vegetables for the most part, and it changes every single year. We have certain dishes that we keep on all the time, but it's usually when you go to the farmer's market, you talk to a farmer, they say we have, an excess of this, and you bring it in and spend time working with it and coming up with something that, you may have not thought of before. I think I'm always really proud of those types of dishes that we put out.
Where do you think that creativity comes from?
I think a lot of it comes from usually the farmer's market, because I feel like whatever grows together goes together. And if you start thinking in that way, it just creates dishes that are just beautiful, and they go together so well. And it may not be something you've thought about, but I kind of think that's the way it works, and it changes every single year. 1 year it may be a great year for tomatoes, another year it's a better year for eggplant. So I think that being flexible is really important.
If you had to sum it up, what do you think makes Annette so unique?
We've been really lucky. We've had a lot of employees that have been with us since day one, and we're coming up on our 6th year. I think almost everybody that works here is really wants to be a part of this mission, of this vision. They believe in the food. They believe in the hospitality aspect. They get to know our regulars. We have so many incredible regulars. So I think that's something you can feel when you come in, that sometimes can get lost in other spaces. But I really think people choose to work here because they want to be a part of this team.
Do you feel a broader sense of responsibility to the community?
Yeah, absolutely. I think whenever we decided to come to this space, it was really important that we were able to involve other aspects of the community. So we work with Project Worthmore and Delaney Farms. They're located out here. And honestly, the pandemic, being supported by this neighborhood, was something that I couldn't have ever imagined would happen. So I think it's even more important to us to make sure that we continue to stay here and provide, good food for the communities around us.
There's a lot of buzz for Annette, always listed among the best restaurants in the country. Are you surprised at all by the positive press, and how does that feel?
Yeah, I think all the press we've gotten has been, it's been a lot, and there's a few times you get imposter syndrome and you're like, this is insane. Why do people like us? But honestly, through the pandemic, seeing what we provided before the pandemic and how people reciprocated and, made sure that we stayed here, I think that to me means even more than any award. The fact that we have been supported by this community, they don't care about awards. They want to eat good food in a good space. And so I think that to me is the most important thing. And all the other awards, it's my favorite thing to say, we're not in Denver, we're in Aurora. I love representing this community out here.
You've won so many awards, had so many accolades. How was it to win the 2022 James Beard Foundation Award for Best Chef Mountain? You hear your name called. What was the first thing that came to your mind? Can you take us through the emotions of that night? I
mean, it's kind of funny. It didn't register. And so my husband was sitting next to me and kind of gave me this look like, that's you. And I think just walking up to the podium, there was just a lot of emotions of, it's been a really hard 2.5 years. And I had a lot of my core team there with me. And I felt very, very proud of what we've accomplished in this restaurant.
What was the rest of that night like?
It's funny. The next morning after we got the award, we flew back to Aurora and had service that night. So, I think it's still a lot to process. I'm still processing it. But there was a lot of celebrating for sure that night.
Is there any added pressure now to continue to raise the bar, or do you feel a sense of vindication and creative freedom now?
I think anytime you win an award or you get press, there's always pressure. I think especially an award like a James Beard Award, to me, it's really important that we continue to grow and push ourselves and make sure that we're supporting the right people and having the right people support us, and being active in all kinds of issues that affect, not only our industry, but other industries. So I definitely feel like there is some weight to it, but I think that that's not a bad thing.
What do you think inspires you in the kitchen?
What inspires me in the kitchen? I think just being able to work with really beautiful product. A lot of it is about relationships. When you work in a kitchen, it's not only just your cooks and you, it's your vendors, it's your farmers. That to me is one of the it's the best part. You get to work with all kinds of people who are so good at their craft that it's so important to me that we honor that in our kitchen. And when you cook that way, it takes you to another level, making sure that you are honoring this farmer that grew this product by, doing it justice and making a beautiful dish with it.
So some of your food is sourced from Village Farms at the Stanley Marketplace.
Yeah, so we've had a really fun time sourcing food recently from Village Farms. I think they've been up and running just basically in our backyard for the past few years. And it's really incredible to be able to go down there, talk to the farmers, see what they have. They also are at the marketplace. They do a farmer's market. But to be able to communicate with someone that closely and go and see what they have going on, they have provided the most beautiful tomatoes this year and fairy tale eggplant. And I don't want to say everything else because I don't want all the other restaurants wanting their produce, but it's been really fun to work with them.
Can you talk a little bit about the sense of community here at Stanley Marketplace?
Yeah, I think that's another great reason why we like being here. There's resources everywhere, and it's crazy to me that we can get produce from one person, we can borrow some milk from another person. We also just work really well together. If somebody's out shopping and wants to know where to have dinner, a shop owner may say Annette, or we may give people recommendations to go get a drink at Create. So I think that we all work really well together, and a lot of these businesses make sense being here together.
What's your guilty pleasure dish? What's the thing you just can't resist?
Guilty pleasure dish at Annette. We do gratins in the colder months, and it's potatoes and cheese, and we do sunchoke with it right now, and it's heavy, and maybe you wouldn't want to eat it on a summer day, but it totally makes sense if you're going to be wearing sweaters for the next few months to indulge in some gratins.
You can visit Caroline Glover at Annette inside of the Stanley Marketplace in Aurora, and I highly recommend you do just that. You can visit them online, check out the menu at AnnetteScratchTheTable.com, and on social media, you can find Annette on Instagram at Annette_ScratchTheTable, and on Facebook at Annette Scratch the Table. Hey, thank you for listening to the Gateway to the Rockies podcast. Visit Aurora is the official destination marketing organization for the city of Aurora, Colorado, and acts as the primary liaison between meeting planners and hotel partners. As Aurora's Convention and Visitors Bureau, Visit Aurora's mission is grounded in showcasing Aurora as a premier destination for meetings, business, and leisure travel. Visit Aurora represents more than 75 plus hotel properties with 13,500 plus guest rooms and more than 1 million square feet of meeting space, including Colorado's largest resort, Gaylord Rockies Resort and Convention Center. As Colorado's third largest city, Aurora is located minutes away from Denver International Airport and showcases mountain views, memorable meeting spaces, and 250 plus international eateries that offer a unique experience for each and every visitor. As the gateway to the Rockies, Visit Aurora's role in the local community goes beyond marketing the city as a destination. The Visit Aurora team is here to assist you with your Colorado visit, from facilitating your meeting, event, or convention to helping you discover local flavor and attractions. Go beyond the boardroom in Aurora, Colorado. For more, visit us at visitaurora.com.